Attention gamers, I've played over 3,000 games of League of Legends, which at an average game length of 30 minutes means I've spent at least 70% of my life on this game instead of doing things like learn math, and while it's hard to grasp wasting so much time on a game where the best advice for beginners is just to uninstall it. Today I figured, as someone who has stared at defeat more than a freak with a fetish for toes, I would break down what I would do if I had never played before and I was just starting today. For starters, I would stop reading the patch notes and trying to find whatever flavor of the month broken nonsense is available. Vandral videos are the knees of the bees, but when it comes to trying to exploit whatever new mistake Uncle Ritos in turns through in the game, it's just a short hit of fake success that leads to a drop off harder than a meth addict going sober in the long run. Besides, I would know that all patch notes and any actual updates to the game are simply to peddle more skin sales that they are putting increasingly less effort into every year, as they are hiking prices while laying off their talented artists, resulting in overpriced slop. So I would just avoid reading the news or patch notes, as it's just marketed noise to players. Next, I would avoid any sort of ranked gameplay like the plague. The LP grind is a dopamine destroyer, and I already have one number in my life making me miserable, and it's my student loan balance. I'd first opt into trying whatever game mode gets me in and playing the game the fastest, but I wouldn't bend over backward when Riot tries to force me into a role I don't want to play, so I would just opt into spamming normal drafts. I would stick to playing simple champs that have been around forever, as I know simple is just better when I can understand their full kit without having to whip out a goddamn thesaurus to get me through the pages of bullshit that describes 4 abilities. In addition, I would avoid playing anything squishier than a limp dick, because I now know that in a team game that just breeds frustration when you are the piñata that everyone else wants to pop, so I would settle on something cozy like Garen. And instead of banning strategically, I would say foo-foo to that meta shit, and I would just remove anything I don't like to see in my games. Sure, my teammates would probably make comments about it being stupid, but I'm fresh, so I'm not jaded enough to get angry at that and comment and bark back, saying something like how they are a basement-dwelling Cheetos dust on their finger AI porn addict with a fucking anger management problem. In terms of runes, I'd probably just ignore what the Riot devs try to shove down my pie hole, and I would rather just read the tooltips and pick shit that sounds fun to me, because in the end I'm just trying to enjoy my time before having to go back to work tomorrow. The first thing I do every game is mute all, as I can look back to my naive little self now after 3,000 games and say for a fact that I will not be making any new friends in League of Legends chat, so it's not even worth having on. Then, as we wait for the hooded midget employees to arrive at center stage and start slow motion bashing each other's brains, and I wouldn't guard and invade or anything, I would just participate in super petty mini games that I find entertaining. I wouldn't stress when I'm getting pushed in worse than a tampon. I would just make sure to act when my jungler arrives by continuing to farm my wave before coming in to light that monster's incorporated character on fire, so that I could secure the kill for myself and myself only. I would play smart, knowing that because I picked a super simple character, I fully understand that a big power spike comes at level 6, and once I had that Uno card loaded into the gun, it was just a matter of waiting until I can make my move.
We are the Vanguard.
Until I can make my move. Demacia. Then playing such a brainless champ opens the doors for us to secure objectives, but I wouldn't care to roam for those, because I would really just treat the game like it's on single player mode. This would let me be strong enough to welcome visitors to my lane who seem to have weird intentions for me regarding what level of on fire they would like me to be. I would give them a warning spin to let them know that I picked this champ because it's a piece of shit for others to deal with, and if they don't respect that, I would have to head up to the top robes and do a front flip onto my alt key to give them a bit of the dick. At the point in the game where it might make sense to group with the team, or at a minimum not push up to a tier 2 tower without using a single ward, I would just double down on my strategy of treating this like a single player game and pushing forward. Eventually the enemy would do things like lane swaps, but instead of communicating with my bot lane to match them up here, I would just run in like a motherless son, giving two shits about how poorly I played that fight. I would stick around knowing that little Bon Bon bitch is dancing with fire, staying in lane with less health than a chain-smoking COPD patient. As long as I could hold the fort down, some rock surfing blind bitch Toph from Avatar will come in to take advantage of the situation, and then without a support I know that an ADC is as useful as a chocolate teapot, so I would just spin and spin until I win. And my jungler helped me, so you'd think I would help him, but getting him fed isn't going to make me have more fun on my own character, so I stay true to my single player roots by continuing to slurp up that solo lane XP like a Chad. The only time I leave is when I want to set up little cat and Milio Mouse mini games for me to spice up the murders a bit.
Unstoppable.
Then I act like I want a base, but I keep purposely letting that prepubescent gerbil interrupt me. It's all a mental game, as he thinks he's inconveniencing me, but really I'm just buying time. Until he realizes what a fucking moron he is. Muahaha. Sometimes this strategy doesn't work and I get flamed for being a selfish asshole, but more than not I know I'll end up alone in their base, staring down a poor ADC who is 4 levels lower than me, thinking is he playing the same game as me, without realizing that I have the nuclear launch codes and all I need to do is push one button. Instead of ending, I like to play with my food a bit, which is obviously why in this next example you see I let this brand limp away from me with 6.9 health without using my ult, obviously because I'm just a nice guy who is messing around, obviously. But the bottom line is we kind of stop, but instead of letting wins feed a dopamine addiction which leads to me doing something stupid like queuing ranked, I hold back, and instead of jumping into another one, I put a pause on it and instead look into an even more casual game mode. I would try out arena, and instead of picking a champ or sweating about whatever the meta is here, I would just be a brave bitch and enjoy whatever the game throws at me. Turns out game knows game, as my assigned duo displays big ass balls as well, and we will end up rolling with what looks like a terrible comp. This means that every single game would be a certified shit fest, but we are just fucking around in a casual game, and to everyone's surprise we end up pulling off some clutch rounds. I wouldn't really think about what is the best rune in each round, and instead I would just pick shit that sounds funny, like when I picked Raid Boss, turning me into a useless Tesla charging station at the beginning of every round before putting me through a crazy amount of puberty where I get Octopus Dad strength unlocked. Eventually we end in 4th behind some meta following mouth breathers, and while I reflect on it having been a fun experience, I would keep myself from becoming a league only Andy, as I know that's a lonely angry path. So after an hour on the game I put it away and move on to playing other things, as the variety keeps things fresh. Check out my first Schedule 1 video here, I will link it below, as I think it brings a nice fresh take to the channel, and let me know what else you have been watching. Rav out.